Welcome to Between Data and Risk podcast. Today we'll be discussing the franchise business model and how it relies on business process frameworks with Bob Volpe, managing partner at Volpe Consulting and Accounting Services. Stay tuned. If you're a business owner or senior manager, you probably had more than enough about all the wonderful opportunities awaiting you in the era of digitalization.
Whether it is big data, cloud, data science, or whatever buzzword is currently trendy.
If you would like to hear someone dissecting these claims and showing you what it actually takes to improve business processes, you're in the right place.
This is Between Data and Risk, where we discuss real-life examples of what works and what doesn't in the world of business operations.
Hi, I'm your friendly neighborhood data guy, Dr. Marian, and with me is my co-host, Artur Cognition Shared Solutions Chief Risk and Strategy Officer.
Hello.
Welcome to this episode of Between Data and Risk. Today we'll be talking about processes and frameworks in franchise businesses, and we're excited to have with us our guest, Robert Volpe, Managing Director at Volpe Consulting and Accounting Services, who agreed to share his experiences with us. Hello, Robert.
Hello. How are you?
Excited. I mentioned it to you previously. I'm receiving, I think, once a week. Today I got one. Offers of getting a franchise. People are saying, oh, you have great job experience. How about you become a franchisee? And I think it's our audience. There are probably a lot of senior managers who get such offers daily, not weekly like me. We would like to ask you, as a professional who works with franchises since what year you said?
14. Well, it goes back to 1988, but in this capacity since 2014.
Yeah. So, could you tell us what it really takes to run a franchise? Like, it's sold like, it's you just become a franchisee and all you do is count the money that clients bring you. I have doubts if something sounds to be good to be true. Usually it is. So. Tell us.
That's usually the pitch, isn't it?
That's the pitch, yeah. So what it really takes, to become a franchisee, like
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, how this business differs from starting your own business? Does it differ really much?
There is a lot of support in the beginning stages. I think one of the traps is that people tend to believe that because they have purchased a franchise, that they're going to learn everything they need to learn about operating the business. And in truth, they're going to learn everything they need to learn about what the franchise requires of them. They're going to get training in the field if they don't have training in the field and so forth. But by and large, people who have no experience in business or they have their own set of expectations, they're going to have some difficulty because that's just not part of their support mechanism in the franchise world. And they do try. They have operation people that are in the field. They call them coaches, operations people, different terminology, but they do try to make sure that the investment in time that the franchisor is putting in is paying off, and they have as little attrition as possible. I think one of the problems that people encounter is and whether they're just a person that has a 401k that they roll over to fund the business, or maybe they're a high-level corporate executive. I think the reality of dealing with employees and customers, clients on the grassroots level is a shock to the system.
So if I wanted to start a business like this, would you recommend kind of having already some experience running another business, kind of having a a company that people are. I'm trying to formulate a question. Maybe people who've already run a business, kind of either kind of sold it off or run it to the ground, but have some kind of experience in running a company. Would they be good candidates for a franchisee?
They might be better than someone that came in cold. There again, you don't know the business acumen of the people that are walking in and starting up a business from scratch. They do have quite a bit of enthusiasm, and that carries them through the difficult phases in many cases. But someone with a little seasoning, of course, the banks are going to like it better. The franchisor might like it better if they don't want to train you up in their method from scratch. But I don't know that they really have much of an advantage other than the seasoning. Sometimes, it really depends on the person. Sometimes it can work in the reverse. I've talked to people that said, don't you wish we knew then when we got in what we know now? And I said, nobody would ever do it if they knew, if they knew in the beginning what they know at the end.
From your experience,
are there different franchises that, like, some franchises prefer fresh people, other prefer more seasoned ones with different kind of attitude towards beginners?
Yeah, I believe there are some franchises that I've been involved with over the years that are more people oriented, and they're more, I call it franchisee friendly, where they're looking for good people that they can groom and assist along the way. I was involved in a situation where I really didn't want another franchise. My partner and I had a franchise that we were successful at, and the new franchise, they kind of romanced us a little bit. They actually canceled the person that had a deposit on the territory, and they guaranteed our loan because they liked the way we operated the previous business. But it lasts for as long as it lasts, and unfortunately, I think franchising right now has morphed into everybody reads everybody else's FDD, the franchise disclosure document. They emulate each other and try to extract the most value and benefit out of the franchisee, oftentimes at the franchisee's expense. Make it difficult for them to make ends meet. There's one right now that is, they're in the renewal contract, they're cutting the territories in half. So I think that they're treading on legal grounds there, but the future will determine that. But to answer your question, I think there are several different approaches out there for franchisors, mostly because a lot of them are just good business ideas that somebody has taken them to a franchise from an independent, and they're selling the idea.
So what one can expect from a franchisor? If I am potential franchisee and I have multiple franchisors approaching me, how about to become a franchisee? Like, what should I look for? What should I expect from a good franchisor, and what I should expect to give back to the franchisor? Like, what are the options if somebody just got his first offer, so he doesn't jump, headlong? What should he think of getting and giving back?
Personally, my personal opinion would be take whatever information they give you and then look for something in that industry, if that's where you want to be, that hasn't tried to solicit you, because they probably don't need to, But realistically, doing the homework on the front end is just critical, because we support franchises that, in an aggregate, they have a negative net profit, and they're a decent business, they're a good business. Others that are just they make money they make some substantial money, and it's one of those things that you could go to the SBA and they'll give you a list of the most successful franchises and the worst ones. Now they'll loan equally on both ends of that spectrum, but there is a big difference, So I would say do the homework, find out what you're really getting into.
Yeah,
and
but
in terms
the
of
question is,
okay, Marian, sorry.
no, the question is like, what do I get except of the brand? Okay, so I get the brand, I get the business idea. Is there anything else I should expect that I will get? I don't know, the SOPs or like what is it that I really get from franchisor? Like,
what you'll get is you'll get the operational support from a good franchise. You should get an opening blast or an opening burst where they might even have people at the facility doing marketing, doing the selling, getting you just a quick start, a real blast to bring people in. It's a little messy after they leave, but it's a good effort. Especially it does accelerate the growth, but you should get a substantial amount of training, ongoing training, software that will let you operate the business without a bookkeeping system. Not that you don't need one, but it's either a CRM or a POS system, a point of sale system. Beyond that, you're paying royalties for the privilege of using the name. You'll have some name recognition and some advertising, but most of the time, the advertising has gone to national accounts, and it's not necessarily to support a franchisee in a location. It's to build the brand awareness nationwide. So they're doing more good in an area that doesn't know about that particular franchise than it's doing for that particular franchisee in a town that they got to do their own marketing.
Sure. Okay. And okay, Artur,
in terms of the support that you provide now, your work with the franchises, what kind of services do you provide to them?
We provide the basic accounting services. Our bread and butter obviously is the bookkeeping, taxes, and tax preparation, and payroll. But we also try to offer, and this is coming from my input as a business owner and operator for the last 34 years. I would most value more enhanced reporting and some face time with my accountant. For example, we do a full financial analysis for our bookkeeping clients as often as twice a year by request, because they're steering a ship and it gets off course pretty regularly for a lot of different reasons. And we want to just be able to refocus it, kind of give them an idea of where they're overspending, where their inefficiencies are. And and we do benchmarking, which I think is very important, as compared to their trajectory, where their peers will land, and what the difference is. And then we back up into the operations and look at what's creating that problem and how to rectify it. And I think that's the most important thing that we do for our clientele.
So these are services that kind of are over and above what they get from the franchise itself, right? So the franchise would normally, you said they provide some support, but this is more focused and more personal service that they get as kind of almost standalone business owners, right?
Yeah, and we're supposed to be financial professionals, so I'll give you an example. One franchise system, which is a very large one that we work with, in the past they had a profitability segment of their operations support, and periodically the operations manager would come in and do what they'd call a profit finder, and the franchisees all called it profit loser because they didn't know what they were doing. So we provide that support in a little bit more meaningful way, and the best way I've heard it described is I talked to a franchisor from England that wanted to open locations in the United States. Their biggest problem was the support and the support mechanism. And they felt like we would be a good fit because they thought we would handle the financial support, so that they had resources. The franchisees had resources to come to get financial information and financial help as far as it went. And I think there are other firms out there doing stuff like that, but I feel like we've got a pretty good niche because people are thirsty for knowledge, are thirsty for information, and they can't do it all. I mean, the plan when you open the business, before you open the business, is I'm going to do the bookkeeping, I'm going to do the banking, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And when they get in there, it's just a lot of times it's hair on fire. It's just every day is a challenge. What do they say in boxing? Everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the face, right?
It's Mike Tyson.
Right. Well, when a business owner walks in the door, he gets hit in the face with all kinds of problems that just kind of derail his plan for the day, and that's kind of the reality of small and medium-sized businesses.
Following on this question, just if I may, if you specialize with working with franchises, but how does your approach then differ if you were to approach a non-franchise business, a standalone business? Would you have a different approach, or would your services still apply?
Our services would be just slightly different. We do about half of our portfolio is just independent businesses around the country, and the difference would be, for example, for a franchise business, we want the corporate reports, the reports from the franchisor, the royalty reports, the any other documents that we can get some detail. So when we're looking at the analysis portion, we can look at the marketing plan and say, definitively, here's the budget for the marketing plan to achieve this result. But we don't have that with the independents. We have to go off of what they have available. But in having that conversation, we're able to hopefully leverage them up in the response that they get from their marketing, whatever marketing arm they're using, from their benefits for the employees, give them knowledge and information about what their options are to get a better employee, a longer lasting employee, someone who's going to stick with the company and perform better, but just by virtue of the fact that they're being compensated with a full package rather than them, having to, flip their employees so often.
I would guess that but correct me if I'm wrong, that there are, let's say, both franchises on B2B and B2C services or of offerings. Is there if because I can recall many franchises on B2C segment, but I would expect that B2B can also be franchised, so to speak. Is there any difference between them? Because I guess that 90% of the business is getting clients, and I think it's when you have brick and mortar shop that you just put the sign of the well-recognized brand above the door. It's a bit different than when you need to actively go and hunt for clients, as we probably both know is the case in I don't know, consulting or any B2C services.
Yeah, I think they're very similar, and they both exist in the franchise world. I own a B2B business, and the difference is your sales, your sales successes are larger, but they're more volatile and they're more susceptible to be stolen. Your B2C, it's a smaller transaction, more of them, but you lose one, you don't lose 20% of your revenue. So there are upsides and downsides to it, but I think they both exist equally successfully in the franchising world for sure.
So you said there is this list of profitable and not so profitable franchises. From your experience working with many franchisors, like what you said that right now they are all trying to learn what are each other's contracts, and they become more and more unified. Like what differentiates good franchises, like profitable franchises, from not so successful ones?
I think a lot has to do with the market and what's hot now. I mean, for example, this is not definitive list by any means, but elderly home-based elderly care is very, very profitable at this point in time. It defied the laws of COVID, and they exploded during 2020. Hydration spas, where you have a bag and an injection, and those are popular now. But I don't know how long that would last. But at the moment, a lot of them are doing well. But I would look at the long term. Which ones have the staying power and not just the survival. Where your nose is just above the waterline. But there are some solid performers out there that really, they may demand a premium, but it definitely pays off very quickly, because you can operate for years at a negative net profit and hang on, and it's not productive, it's not helpful, it's very demoralizing.
Those high performers, do they operate, I would say, in a stable market? I know I can imagine a couple of products like, I don't know, coffee, toilet paper, or some couple of other goods which are always needed, sometimes in combination, sometimes not.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's interesting to mention them both at the
same time. So those high performers, do they perform high because they have just good market and stable market, or is their support, let's say, really worth more? It's like
I don't think the support is the key. I think it is helpful, and these franchises, they more or less all of them have an annual convention, and that is used to motivate people and train people. But the training, it's all with the intent of breathing new life into a tired person. But I think good ideas are good ideas, and they last a long time. I mean, people want good coffee, they want certain things, and those businesses are going to continue to prevail. I think whether or not they have support, they would find it either through a peer or through their own means. But I don't think it has a make it or break it aspect to the support.
What would be the first, when you decide to get become a franchisee? What would be the first step of, like, when you open this business? Is it any different? I know that you get this operation support, you get this sometimes with people who come and give you this kickoff, quick start. But are there any things that you should make sure so you don't fall? You said that there are these problems after these people leave. But so what would be the key steps to ensure that your business will not collapse after these people leave?
Ideally, I mean, you're going to go to the corporate headquarters for training, and a lot of people don't pay enough attention to that. But I would say, absorb as much as you can as far as the training goes. Educate yourself on the industry, which is the best protection you could have. But if you feel like when I bought my first franchise, I bought 2 stores. I had no idea about the industry or how it worked, and I relied heavily on the managers that I had put in place. And I think a good support staff that meets the criteria that you need to meet, whether they're educated, whether they're trained, whether they're seasoned. I think that's ideal. If they can manage that, you can handle a lot more volume. You have more freedom to operate on the business rather than in the business, which keeps a lot of small businesses from proliferating, keeps them from growing because their head is in the business. So I would say the best thing they could do is surround themselves with people that are competent, if they can.
It's funny because that phrase, working on the business rather than in the business, it's been on the show. It's a constant theme on the show, and it's like it always seems that having a solid framework, solid process that works inside your business enables you to elevate yourself out of it and kind of almost let the machine run itself. We had a great episode with Jamie from Bottleneck.
Distant Assistants, Jamie J, who inspired us to start actually the podcast.
Yes, the gentleman basically has a business that runs on processes. So how would you do you think that those processes, again going back to my favorite author Neil Stephenson, he's got this book Snow Crash, where franchises basically that the franchisee gets a big binder full of manuals, and whatever happens, they just flip to the right page and follow the manual. Now, would you get this kind of thing? Because it sounds from you like you don't really, you need to set up the business as if you were setting up your own business, right?
Well, and I guess if I conveyed that, I may have misspoken. I think one of the big failings, and it's also one of the big successes for a very smart operator, but business acumen comes into that. But you're buying a franchise, you're buying a process, you're buying a name and a hopefully proven process. To divert from that can be suicide. I would say 80% of the time it's the wrong way to go, and we see that in the benchmarking that we do for franchisors. They come out with a product, their franchise system, and there's a model for that. They sell one to me, and I follow the rules to the T. They're good. They sell one to you, and you decide to cowboy it and add, services and products and that aren't on the menu, that aren't, really congruent with the premise. And all of a sudden, it's a different business, and that's where the franchisor says, we got to get our arms around this because we don't know how it's morphed now that it's out in the real world, and there are people like you and me doing things a little bit differently. So I would say one of the best things that somebody can do if they're going to buy a franchise, they need to buy into the concept, they need to buy into the processes, and if they don't, just buy another one or start something on their own.
Okay.
Well, it definitely sounds like getting a franchise is firstly it's a big decision, and you have to be very aligned with the business that you're buying into, because it's an investment, right? It's an investment on both sides, investment of the brand and investment of the resources from the franchisor side, and it's an investment, a personal investment from the franchisee side. If people wanted to learn more about your services and actually get in contact with you, if they would find those services valuable, where can they contact you?
Our website is Volpe Consulting Accounting.com, and we've got a fairly decent website. I like it. It seems to return fairly well for us. And you'll find things on there that I don't even know are there. So I've written blogs
we will link
that I didn't know
the
about.
website. We will link the website in the description to the episode, so anyone who wants will be able to click on this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your for the experience, because I think it is definitely experience can't be replaced with anything. You just have to live through it, and to actually listen to someone who's gone through it is really invaluable. So thank you very much for sharing that with us.
Well, thanks for taking the time. Thanks for having me. I appreciate that.
And as usual, let's hope it was of use to someone. Thank you for listening.
Check out Bob Volpe on LinkedIn as well as his company's website, volpeconsulting-accounting.com. As usual, all links to the references will be available in the notes to this episode.
Also, don't miss the next one, where we'll be talking to Marcelino de Santiago, President and COO of Hope Global, a manufacturing company in the automotive sector, as well as co-founder of Borderland Partners LLC, a management consultancy. We'll be discussing with Marcelino how his experiences in manufacturing helped his consulting practice and vice versa.
Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or visit bda.show to find out more about future episodes and guests. You can also check out cognition.llc for more information on Cognition Shared Solutions, our services, and other events hosted by us.
For now, it's thank you from myself, Artur Guja, and my co-host, your friendly neighborhood data guy, Dr. Marian Siwiak.
Thank you and goodbye.